I'm on my call.
Okay, we're going to kick off tonight's team call, Leap of Faith on the Rise. I'm so excited that Emily is here to give our training for tonight. But some of you know Emily's story, some don't. I'm just going to kind of give a little backstory for you. Emily is our Diamond Senior Gold? Ruby.
Senior Gold, almost Ruby.
Almost Ruby. Okay, Diamond Senior Gold. For those that are new, that means that she hit the top of the company and she's on her way to do it again. And she is incredible. And Emily's been doing this a little over 4 years. And how I got connected with Emily, so I am Emily's level 2. Allison is my sponsor, which is Emily's sister-in-law. So I never met Emily pre-Plexus, but to my husband, she is Andrew's little sister, because my husband grew up really good friends with her brother. And so my first talking to Emily at all was on my welcome call with Emily and Allison. And you were gold or almost gold, I think. So it's been so fun to be on this journey with her to where she is now. But one of the coolest things is, you know, how God just orchestrates these crazy stories in your life. Well, guess what? Emily was in Dallas, I was in Chicago, and now we live 10 minutes away from each other. So it's pretty awesome that we have this incredible friendship, and I get to work with her side by side. And it was so funny. On Wednesday, I was going to lunch, or Tuesday, with Emily, and I was messaging back and forth with Stephanie Zima that day, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so jealous. You're so lucky." And I was like, "Oh, I guess I had to take for granted my relationship with Emily, because y'all, she is one of my best friends here, and I get to be encouraged from her and bounce ideas off of her all the time. And I don't share her enough with all of you. So tonight I'm sharing Emily with all of you, and I'm just excited to hear from her. So take it away, Em.
All right. Thank you, Trace. Thank you for giving a little backstory too. I appreciate that. And you guys, Tracy and I will never forget when I flew to Chicago to do that event. And she told me on the way home from the airport that she was thinking about moving to Kansas. And I was like, that's lame. Who would do that? And then it was a year later when I called her and I was like, are you sitting down? Remember?
It was March I told you, and you called me in December.
Oh, it was that soon? Oh my gosh. I was like, okay, are you sitting down? Because we're moving to Kansas too. So yeah, and our friendship has just grown immeasurably since we both made this move, and it's been awesome. And I'm so blessed to have this whole team on my team. But I have to say that you guys do not underestimate the power of having Tracy as a strong leader, because she is incredible. And I didn't even realize that you guys do these every week, these team calls. That's really, really special. So please don't take that for granted, and really appreciate it. And you guys, let that be a driving force to plug people into this team. I think you guys need to understand how special this is, and have that excitement in you when you're talking to people. I don't have I'm kind of all over the place with what I want to share with you guys tonight. But that's one thing I want you guys to think about. I always tell people that when they're having a conversation with a potential about Plexus, I want you to picture that person next to you on the dance floor at convention going nuts with a live band. Okay. I want you to picture that person on a team call like this with Tracy, such an awesome leader, praying over this person, okay? That's what I want you to picture when you're talking to a potential. Because what that's going to do in your heart is create so much excitement, because you're going to be like, oh my gosh, you have to be there. And when people hear that, you guys, they're hearing your heart well over the words you're saying. So your heart shines through when you are looking at them and you want this so badly for them. So anyway, that was kind of a tangent I went off of that I was not planning on, but I really do think that's important to do. Okay, so what I want to talk to you guys tonight is about doing your Plexus business. A lot of times we lose sight of what that means. And I know that sounds strange, but when we first get started, it should be simple. It's simple. I just started with a newbie today. We sat down and went over what she needs to focus on. And it's very simple. You need to focus on sharing these products and helping people get their orders in. That's it. All the other stuff can really be noisy and very sidetracking. Is that a word? but loud and confusing for newbies. Okay. So, I love how we have so many incredible resources now, but sometimes that gets us, it turns us kind of into like squirrel. Like we're all over the place and we're like, ooh, I love that 7-day trial. I'm going to do that. What's that? A 3-day? Oh my gosh. And what's a 5-day RPI? Like you're just throwing all these different things. And what happens is I want you to think about when you join Plexus, again, like I was saying, it's not about the words that are spoken. It's about how you're feeling and it's about what you're experiencing. So if you experience X when you join Plexus, then it's confusing when you're doing Y to get your people started. Does that make sense? You want to stay consistent with whatever the system is that you choose to do. So, and I'm not standing here saying this, being like, oh my gosh, I have it all figured out. You guys follow along. Like I'm trying to figure out this too, because I think a lot of us, and some of you guys might be newer and this might be going over your head. So if it is, take a deep breath and be in a good place that you're not as confused as we can be. Because a lot of us who've started a long time ago, we are confused. There's so much noise. And then what happens when it gets too noisy is we do this. Like we just shut down. Like we're not going to do anything. This is just too much. And so I want you to really safeguard yourself against doing that. I'm going to be really honest here, you guys. I feel like people look at me and they're like, she has it all together. She's a diamond. No, my road to diamond looked like everybody else's with the ups and the downs. And there were nights that I remember sitting down to watch a TV show with my husband and being like, I didn't do anything for Plexus today. And when I had that feeling of like, oh man, I'm like off the wagon. Like I haven't done anything. And it's just like working out, you guys, when the consistency stops, that's when you start getting complacent and when it seems so hard to get back into it. So every time I have felt that in my business, I would have a come to Jesus talk with myself. I called it a, you know what, or get off the pot talk with myself. But it was usually when I was driving to school in the morning. That was my prayer time. That was my time alone with the Lord, where I was just like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? I know you put this in. And I felt so convicted to do this. But on the other hand, life gets in the way. And so I just want you to know that if you're in that season right now, if you're in that place of like, I'm all over the place, I'm sitting there with my husband thinking I didn't do anything today. That's part of your journey. It's not because you're never, that you're not going to get back into it. It's just, that's where you are right now. And I want you to have the same talk that I had to myself. So I would be driving in my car and be like, hey, like, are you doing this or not? And so what I want you to do is not just have that talk with yourself, but I want you to end that talk with yourself with new intention, because that's the key. And especially at this time of year, this is the prime time to get in that place of, shoot, I didn't do anything. And I want you to think about, because here's the problem with this season. First of all, we all know holiday parties, holidays, kids off school. I mean, there's a bajillion excuses, right? There's a bajillion reasons that you're sidetracked and not putting this same time and effort into your IPA that you used to. And then we have this thing creeping up where we're like, Super Saturday is coming. I'll just do it then. You guys, that is the worst thing you can do. And this is why. If you are waiting till Super Saturday, then you're missing the bus, because when I'm doing my intentional work, I know that I will see the fruits of that labor in about three months typically, right? So if I'm in that zone of like, I'm getting stuff done and I'm in a good place, in 3 months, my points are going to show how I was now. So, or how I am, you know what I mean? So I want you guys to think of November and December as those months that are setting you up for a strong beginning of 2019. Okay. You can't sit back and relax now and expect Super Saturday to jump into things, because you're going to be like that first day back at the gym and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, what are these weights? Like, I thought I could do this and I can't now. And so I want you guys to really be in that place. Sorry, I'm like, I kind of had like notes of what I wanted to talk about, and I just started talking and I haven't even looked at my notes. So hold on, let me regroup. But I also want to make sure I'm answering questions, and I want to hear about kind of where you are in this season right now and see if I can offer any advice. Like I said earlier about kind of choosing what it is that you want to do and creating the duplication around that. You guys, that's so very important. And I'm trying right now a new duplication system, and I'm kind of doing a pilot study. Tracy knows about this with a couple of my smaller teams, just really trying to prove my point on this. Because the way that I see it and the way that I think Brooke Hemingway and Emily Gibson have been showing their success is that if this is how I joined, then it makes me more comfortable and more driven to share this, because I know it's going to be the exact same experience for anyone I bring on. And I think that is that like duplication system. And I challenge you guys to find one that works for you, that feels good, that you make the commitment to doing for at least 6 months. Because I feel like it's going to take that full 6 months to show. So this is the problem, is that we say that, and then the next new thing comes out, the next, whatever. And then we're like, oh, derail. Okay, let's try this. So what I challenge you to do is come up with whatever system you want, and then really give it that time to show the duplication of it. I think when I first started, we kept it way simpler. And it was like, you get in, you share on social media, you do the welcome calls, you do the things. And it was how I started. So it made me comfortable to do it with my friends, and it made them comfortable to do it with their friends and all of that. So anyway, that's kind of where my head is right now. And with this new girl that joined today that I just met with, she's incredibly coachable, but she started to realize that like, oh, this is simple, because we're doing like a 3-day blitz next week. So all she's focusing on is getting people into that blitz, and then getting them to share during the blitz. And then when they're ready to sign up, they've already got their customers ready. Then they jump into the 5-day IPA challenge. Then we do another blitz. So it's just 3-day blitzes, basically. 5-day IPA, 3-day blitz, 5-day IPA, 3-day blitz. And that's the cycle we're going through. We're shutting down all the noise. Everything else is just quiet, and we're just focusing on this. So I can't tell you 100% how it works until we give it a couple months. But also recognition and shouting out. You guys, somebody getting their first customer needs to be like a big deal. They need to feel like, wow, because it's going to do 2 things. First of all, it makes people feel warm and fuzzy. But the other thing is it makes them feel like, well, that was easy. Like I could do that again, and that's really where you want your newbies. You want them to always feel like, oh, that was easy. I could do that again. So, okay, that was kind of what I had to share. You guys, do you have questions or anything that you want more clarification on? Or let me see if I have anything else in my notes.
2 of the things that like a couple people had, just talking more about how you stay consistent. If there's anything, whether it's your planning, your scheduling, how are you consistent in your business?
Well, like I was saying, there's been seasons where I have not been as consistent. But what I find is when I'm not consistent, I tend to get stressed easier. When I'm in action, I remember, okay, what did she say? Jen Hawkins said this to me once, and I'm like, brilliant. She said the ailment to being stuck in your business or something is always activity, something like that. I don't know. I feel like I totally botched that, but it's essentially that's what she's saying, right? It's like, if you're feeling stuck, make a new list and start sending messages out. Daydreaming, you guys, I think we underestimate the power of just sitting and really daydreaming about what this is going to look like. And like I said, picturing those people. Who do you want on the dance floor with you? Mm-hmm. Who are those fun blue friends that are going to eat it up? Who is like struggling right now that picturing those people and picturing them say yes and picturing them getting excited and jumping in. I just don't think we do enough of that. And I know that sounds like a weird, because I'm sitting here like IPA, woo. And then I'm like, why don't you just sit around and daydream? But I think they're both really important things. However, I know how it feels to be working full time and to be juggling this business.
Mm-hmm.
And that, you guys, really takes intention.
Yeah.
Because there are days where, wow, you're like, I can't fit another thing on this plate that's overflowing and stuff is like falling on the floor right now.
Yeah.
And the advice I have on that is, honestly, I made this such a priority because I knew that it was worth it. Mm-hmm. I knew without a shadow of a doubt that it was going to be worth it. And so that's my advice. I know that sounds harsh because it's like, I know you got a lot going on, but you guys, it is so worth it to put that time and effort. But the key word is the consistent time and effort. Because if you feel like you're like doing this and you're not getting anywhere, look at the consistency, because that piece of the puzzle is typically where you start to see things crack and fall. Yeah. Just truly the consistency.
Yeah, it's so true. This team knows it's worth it. We've had hashtag worth it like as our thing for well over a year, I think. But it is one of those things where you're right, it's worth it. And the consistency always falls off when a big change happens, whether, your kids get sick or, summer is a big enough change. Like consistency is always ebbs and flows. And this is why, when Emily and I were talking earlier today about just like some of the things I wanted to talk about, it was this season, these next 7 weeks before Christmas comes is going to be the hardest time to be consistent, and it's one of those things where it's absolutely worth it. I mean, we've seen it. Like I've been here. This will be my 4th year. Yeah, I'm approaching my 4th year that I've been through this, and the season is always that way, but January through March is always the biggest. And that's why we don't want people to miss the boat, because that's really January through March is when a lot of promotions actually happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So think of yourself as like these next 2 months is setting you up for that first quarter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
19. And if you don't set yourself up, it's going to be the first day back at the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody likes the first day back at the gym.
No. All right. Any questions? Come on. We have her on like free time to ask her a question.
Yeah. Ask me anything. Anything?
Hi, Emily.
Hi, Nicole. How are you?
Good. So I know you were a big skeptic. What was it that Tiffany or Stacy said to you that finally clicked? Like, I want my best friends doing this with me, and it's just like, I don't know. This opportunity is so amazing. Why is it so hard to get it across to those I love? Like, I don't know. Do you have any pointers for that?
I've got a couple things to say about that. Number one is, for me, I feel like it was the perfect storm. Like I was meant to do this, and every arrow was like neon pointing at it. And I was like, no, like I was just so resistant until it was at a point where we were in a financial place where the strain was so bad that I just broke down crying. And they didn't even have to say it was the answer. Tiffany just looked at me and she's like, I don't even have to say it. And I was like, fine, make me a pink drink. Like I had hit that rock bottom place where like this was the only answer. And I feel like the Lord was like, all right, let's just move everything else out of the way so you can see it. But that isn't how I would answer this now. Knowing what I know now, I would change my answer to, if I truly had someone that I love deeply and I was like, I want to do this with her so bad, I know she would be awesome, I would have that conversation and sit down with her and say, okay, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, it's like, should be obvious by this point. I want you to duplex this with me. What I need to hear from you is why, like genuinely why you're holding back. Like what scares you? What, like And this is one of those things where you ask the question, then you bite your tongue. You don't try to answer it for her. You just genuinely ask, like, dude, what's up? Like, what's holding you back? And then listening, just really, really listening. And not trying to come back with everything that she says with a response of like, but, you know, like not trying to that, like talking her into it, more just genuinely listening to her and hearing where she's coming from. And that's going to give you a whole better picture. And I don't know if you've done that yet, but that gives you a whole better picture of like understanding what this is. And it gives you a different way to approach her. And like I said, you don't have to do it right then. It doesn't have to be like a combative, like talking her into it thing. It's more just, a lot of times there's just a lot going on between someone's ears and you're guessing at what you think it is, but you just have to hear it from them. What is it's holding them back? Because a lot of times just right, not right timing.
Yeah. Okay. Another question. Sorry, I'm in a hogger, guys. So like this new girl today, did she approach you? Did you approach her? Now that you're a diamond ruby, do you find it easier to approach with the business versus the products? Do you still do 50-50, like depending on the person?
Okay, that's a good question. So I feel like my re-entry team is a little bit different because right now it's kind of my new neighbors that I'm still getting to know. But this was actually a really well done, intentional relationship building by my next door neighbor, Joy. So Joy, and you guys, new people, if new people move in, they are the perfect people to just create that intentional relationship with. And here's the thing. I want you guys to hear me on this. Not everyone is right for this business. So I hate that feeling from network marketing that like you intentionally build relationships in order to sign them up. I don't like that. I look at it more as you're intentionally building relationships to see if there's a potential for this to be of service to them. And if it is, then that's going to organically kind of happen. And if it's not, okay, like they're probably going to need they'll probably love the products if they're open to it. But this isn't like we befriend people just to bring them in and make them do Plexus. But Joy was very intentional about creating a relationship with this girl. And the more we got to know her, the more I was like, oh, she'd be great at Plexus. But we just kind of let her watch us. And again, that's coming from a really blessed place of having a group of 4 of us that do this together and we do life together. And the more she hung out with us, the more she was like, what are you guys doing? But honestly, it ended up being the cruise. The cruise is what pushed her over, where she was like, okay, here I am, like a stay-at-home mom subbing twice a week and making $120 a day subbing, and you guys are going on a cruise. Like, what gives? Like, what is this Plexus stuff? So we weren't like pushy at all. We just kind of let it happen. So I don't know. I hope that answers. But I think you guys seriously creating those relationships, being intentional about it, but also if you are able to, if you're a teacher, have the other teachers at your school, like when you create a sense of like belonging in a group, and granted, you know how elementary school moms are. And we have had a couple events where we straight up say like we're kind of fun. We like to throw parties. We like, and it's not all Plexus stuff. We have all different kinds of parties, and we're very social. And so that helps. But then you've got those people who are like, oh, you have to do Plexus to hang out with them. So we're very, very transparent about that. We say like, we want to hang out with you, whether you do Plexus or not. But if you want to do Plexus, we'd love to help you, but we are also really good friends with people who don't do Plexus at all. Because it's not like you have to do it to hang out with us kind of a thing. Does that make sense?
That would be weird. If you're like, nope, can't hang out with you. You don't do Plexus.
No, people are worried about it. And I had the same thing with Tiffany and Stacy in our old neighborhood. It was like, oh, if you don't do Plexus, you don't hang out with them. And I'm like, no, let's go get a drink. Like,
yes,
you don't have to do Plexus to hang out with us. I don't know. Now that I think about it, I tend to do this with my neighbors.
Yeah, you do. You kind of just like move in and take them all down.
Let's do it. It's fun. Well, and it's like Tracy was saying, you know, she's doing an event that has nothing to do with Plexus, just to build that sense of community. And also, like, there's a new rock star on Jacqueline Stanley's reentry leg who is just killing it. And I'm like, Jacqueline, what is this girl doing? Like, how does she do this? And that's what she said. This girl is like the queen of throwing parties. She's like the fun girl. She's the one that hosts the party for this and like that. And, you know, like it's not even network marketing parties. It's just she loves to be somebody who builds community with people. And I think when you naturally do that, it makes it really easy to share Plexus, and you can build community without even talking about Plexus. And I think I guess that's in a way kind of what I'm getting at what we do. Like, we hang out, we're fun, people want to be around us, and we don't shove Plexus in their face. It just organically starts to happen.
Our team is definitely making that change again. We talked about this last month. We did a call on like thinking outside the box and how can we be super intentional with our relationships and being community builders and that kind of thing. And all the like little teams have their own stuff going on this month, and we're doing this event next week here. And I love seeing what we're all doing to just really build relationships and be encouragers for one another. And whether people jump on and do Plexus with us or not, like, we want to add value to the people that we are around. And it just so happens to come through health and happiness and like pouring into each other. And whether we're praying over you or we're, you know, helping, getting you accountable and helping you go to the gym or whatever, like that's what these groups are for. That's what this community is for. And I think that, you know, with our monthly happy hours, I was truly getting away from that. Because it was so intentional of like, hey, come to our Plexus event. Like, we're still going to do those. And those need to be there so that we can bring people in when those relationships are built. But yeah, exactly what everybody's kind of doing is, I think, so important. And that's what you've always done. Like, you've always been that, like, my door is open, you're like totally a hospitality person, and you create those relationships in that environment.
Well, I love that you guys are being intentional about it already. I have to tell you another thing. This just popped in my head that I was like blown away at how well Joy did this today, because we had the meeting with the new girl and Joy, because she's under Joy. And Joy was like, you know, asked her all those questions. Like, what, you know, I don't know if you guys have ever heard my 1 to 10 scale, but if you talk to me when you first join, I ask every single time on a scale 1 to 10, what's your enthusiasm level? 1 is you're not really sure if you want to do the business. 10 is like, I want to be a diamond. And you guys, that question will really help the conversation from that point forward. It gives you like a roadmap of like, and if they say 4, 5, 6, any of those numbers, really anything less than 6, I say, okay, tell me a little bit more about why you're that number, you know? And if they're like 7, 8, 9, 10, I'm like, all right, let's do this, you know? So we were asking all those questions, and this girl labeled herself, I think, an 8 or 9 or something. And Joy said, okay, first thing we're going to do is you're going to go silver this month. And I loved it. I was like, yes, that's what we need to do. We don't tell people what silver is and create this vibe around it that it's like it's the first promotion, whatever. It was just like, okay, this is step 1. This is what we're going to do. And went over the list of 64 with her, and she immediately felt like, oh, okay, yeah, no, I could totally do that. You know,
That's what always did.
What?
That's what you've always done. That's what we did 4 years ago.
Yes. Silver is so easy. That's just what we do. Like, going silver. Yeah. Silver 500 PV. Let's do it. And they read you. People really, really read you, consciously or unconsciously. And if you have any sort of hesitation toward anything really, like toward a product or toward steering them in one direction or the other, or you're not really sure, or you're looking, this is what people do. They look at the new ambassador like, what do you want to do? You guys, new ambassadors are looking at you like, what am I supposed to be doing? Like, so it's the same thing when you're signing someone up. You are the expert. So you're the one that's going to say, oh, it just makes sense for you to be a preferred customer. And they're like, okay. Like they're looking to you as the expert, and they're looking to you to be excited and decisive. And, you know, people don't like that wishy-washy, indecisive, like, I don't know, but it would be good to, I don't know, what do you want to do? You know, that makes them feel like, I don't know, why am I doing this? Like, you know, so don't be afraid to be decisive and be, help them in that way.
Yeah.
What I'm saying, help them set the parameters around what this looks like, and it makes them feel safe and warm. People like parameters. You're going silver this month. It's gonna be awesome. We're gonna have so much fun. It's gonna be super easy.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask?
Yeah.
I love that you're talking about what you do with new people, because I feel like that's something like that our team needs to hear of, like, okay, go back to the basics, do the easy thing. Do you still do welcome calls?
Yes, I do. I love welcome calls, you guys. I truly love welcome calls. I think welcome calls are so important. And I talked about a welcome call the other day on my live. I don't know if you guys saw what successful ambassadors do on my team page. I don't know if you guys, there's so many team pages. I totally understand if you guys aren't on mine, but I keep mine quiet for that reason, because there's so many team pages. But I just get on there and do training sometimes. And I talked about a great welcome call with somebody who, and that's my level ones know, like, I don't care if they say they're not doing the business. I want to meet them. And we make it, the verbiage we use to get them on a welcome call is very like, I don't know if you guys ever saw, I can't think of her name, but she did this video about, she's like, IPA your face off, whatever that girl, do you guys know who I'm talking about? No? Okay. Anyway, she's like really high energy. And she says that when you're talking, she said, okay, picture that you're at the salon. This was a great analogy for me. Picture you're at a salon and you're like, okay, I'm thinking about this hairstyle and I'm thinking about this one. You've got pictures on your phone. You're like, which one do you think would look best? And your hairstylist is like, ooh, I love both of them, and goes back and forth. And then she says, hold on. And she brings over another stylist, and they sit there and they're looking at you. Well, let's look at the way her face is though. Like, I feel like this color might be better. What if, and you're listening to them talk about you to make you look better, right? How does that feel? You're like, I have two experts fixing things for me, right? That's what a welcome call is. That's that was what we want to welcome our new ambassadors with is, girl, let me bring over another expert, and we want to help you get started the best way you can. Mm-hmm. And when that analogy helped me a lot and helped my ambassadors who were tentative about welcome calls see welcome calls in a different light. Like, it shifted that perspective a little bit, where they were like, oh yeah, that's actually not intimidating at all. It's flattering, right? Makes people feel warm and fuzzy and really cared for and loved. And so anyway, the one that I talked about on my live last week is, it was a girl who was like, I don't want to do the business, which you guys know that means nothing to me. If somebody tells me they don't want to do the business, I'm like, oh, that means nothing to me. Because everybody says that. So, but she truly didn't. And so what I was very intentional about planting a seed with her, because I just started asking questions and realized that she is super, super clean eater. And she started talking about CrossFit, that she's just newly involved in CrossFit and loving it, but disgusted at the drinks that people are drinking there. Those like high fructose corn syrup full of, you guys know what I'm talking about, you know, the energy drinks. And so she was excited to find the pink drink because it was cleaner and it's kind of more along her line and whatever. And so I just said, you know, I feel like before you know it, you're going to be looking around the gym and being like, I have to tell these people. Like, you're going to end up telling people like, hey, I found something that gives me the same amount of energy, but it is super, super clean and way better for your body. I was like, you're going to find yourself doing that. And then we moved on. But what that did was it planted a seed. And because I'm like, my intention is not for this girl who swears up and down she doesn't want to do the business to get off the phone with me and be like, never mind, I'm doing it. What I want is for her to be like at the gym next week and be like, all right, like, I got to tell her, you know, like, I'm hanging out with this girl now and I just have to tell her that I'm drinking my pink drink and, you know, she might want to know about what it is. So that's what we do on welcome calls. It really is for the person we're talking to. That was a really long answer, Shannon.
That was a good answer.
It was a great answer.
I love these analogies when you can like picture it.
Yes.
Tell that again.
It's like a little perspective shift. You guys, and that's why if you're not watching videos all the time, watch videos whenever you can. I do it in the car. Because I'm telling you, there's so many incredible ambassadors out there with some great ideas and some really good perspective shifts that sometimes we need.
I want to ask another question while I have still have you. Yeah, because I just feel like I know for myself, I've gotten away from doing just the basics and, that kind of thing. So when you were talking to your new person today and talking about the 64 list and that they were going to go silver and all that and sharing the products, how do you say to them when they say about sharing the products? Do you say on social media, the videos, what kinds of resources do you provide that they're going to use to share, I guess is my question.
Well, I think a lot of that is the listening, okay, where are you? What are you willing to do? If you say you're 7, 8, or 9 or 10, yeah, let's go ahead and get your first post out there, and I think this new duplication system makes it easy to be okay, we're all going to laser focus on just getting as many people as we can in this 3-day blitz coming up. And that keeps the focus easy because it's okay, I'm going to get all these people. And she had 15 people reach out after her first post, you guys. It was insane. So she's a little overwhelmed, which understandable, because now the whole 3-day sample thing, and we got to figure all that out and how to get her, to invest in another bag of Slim or how to, or to charge them, whatever. But it makes it so, okay, so we want to get all these people in the 3-day blitz. And then if we can get even half of the people that get in there to do their first post as one of the challenges or whatever in the blitz, that's take a pink drink selfie and post it here to win a prize. Well, even if people do that and they get a couple bites themselves, then it makes it super easy for them to sign up as ambassadors with already potentials in mind. And then they're able to jump in and do the 5-day challenge, and focus on them. The whole thing is getting people to start the same way that they started, and getting those people to start the same way that they started. And that's where that duplication, I look at what Brooke and Emily are doing and I'm it's a well-oiled machine. And I think what is hard is we aren't willing to give that longevity to create a well-oiled machine. And so what we end up doing is being free falling. So I don't know. I hope that helps. And I'm going to be honest, even some of the corporate specials make you but wait, now we've got this going on, and it just gets noisy, and you just have to make your intention, focus, and move forward, versus that all over the place feel. Do you guys feel like you're all over the place?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. That's the feedback I'm getting from a lot of people, is just that I can't keep focus on anything because there's just too many things going on.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes it so hard sometimes when you do get somebody new, is you're oh my gosh, where do I even start with them? Do I show them this? Do I tell them this? Kind of thing. And I feel like we do need to just get back to those simple basics, So thank you. I appreciate that.
And another thing I think about newbies is, I think especially if they're hungry at all, giving them the resources and letting them, for me, I'm just such a video watcher, and I've signed up lately some really big video watchers. And it's just super easy for me to be oh my gosh, watch this video. I just send them a video, and then they get in the YouTube rabbit hole where they're if you like this, you might like this. And then they call me an hour later, and they're oh my gosh, I've watched all these videos and I love Tara Castaneda and I love Melissa Eckenhorst. And I'm oh my gosh. So allowing them to explore, because I think that's one thing I did at the beginning for sure, was I could not get enough Plexus videos. And if you don't tell them they're there, they might not find them. Any other questions?
Me.
Stephanie's got one.
No, this time I'm not afraid. I remember it was funny, actually, you guys were making the reference to that opportunity event, right? That was the event I almost didn't make it to. And right after that, we had the online opportunity event, and I signed up, I think. What was it? Well, did I sign up right before this? Remember that, Emily, where I was terrified of talking to you? Remember that?
No.
It was it was awful. Like you were like the tiny diamond up on the thing. No, really, seriously, I was so afraid of talking to
Steph's
you. It
come
was
a long way.
Yeah, I'm like,
hilarious.
getting down.
Rona, I know, right? Rona drove the car. I would have turned around and never made it to the event. And then once I sat there, I just was frozen. And I'll never forget. I looked at Emily and I thought, like, wow, like just that. And then when you showed up at the luncheon, I started shaking. I couldn't say. So then we talked about it, and then I remember that you just changed and you got in your jeans and your sweater and you walked out, and I was just like, oh my gosh, it was amazing. But anyway, I'm getting off the subject. So what I wanted to ask was
I remember what event you're talking about.
you won't remember that, but yeah, that was that event though in Chicago, Trace. That was your event. Okay, so the two things I had asked, the 7-day trial pink train challenge. Do you have that script from Emily Gibson? Do you have that? You guys have that?
So we chose to do 3-day blitzes and not
Okay.
a day trial. And we're not sure if that was a good decision or not. we're feeling it out this month. The reasoning behind that was we thought it's so much easier to just pop 3 in the mail or hand 3 to somebody than having to put the investment in buying 7-day trial packs. So that's kind of the reason we did 2 different 3-day. And then we also love the idea of like, it's happening again in 2 weeks, the exact same thing. So now your people will experience the exact same thing you did instead of like, because what Emily does is she does the first week of the month, she does a 5-day IPA challenge. The second week is a 7-day trial. The third week is a 5-day challenge. The fourth week is a 3-day blitz. So ours is just 5-day, 3-day, 5-day, 3-day. So
yeah, because I watched a video from her and she said that she has her templates out on the Jewel page,
yes,
like for the 7-day and the 3-day.
We're just revamping. Yeah, it's all her. So it makes it easier for us. So we're just, and what I did
can you get your hands on that 7-day though? And can I get it? Like, I would love that.
And Tracy can too, because it's all on the Jewel page.
I've only found the 3-day. So if you find the 7-day, let me know. I sent out the 3-day. I couldn't find the 7.
Oh, well then, yeah, let me look and see, or I was messaging with Emily earlier today. I can see if I can get I know, well, you know what I'm thinking of is a 7-day IPA challenge. She always puts those up. She's really good about that. But let me see if I can find a 7-day. Are you putting one together for this month, Stephanie?
Yeah, it's starting on the 12th and I have nothing.
And you know
yeah,
so I think Allison has one that she uses, but I don't know if that's old.
Yeah, I don't know. I need something to put on. So that was the one question. And then the other one, I am still like, the way how I learn is always trying to figure out everybody. I know, but day to day, what you do for your practice business.
You keep cutting out, Stephanie.
I didn't understand that question. What?
Oh. So
I don't know if it's your headphone.
You know what? Maybe type it in.
Like when you work your business.
I think she asked what does a typical day of IPA look like for me?
Maybe.
Is that what you're asking?
Can you guys hear me better now?
Yeah. Now we can.
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's your must-dos for your Plexus business every day. Like what is that?
I feel like that I'm going to be really honest with you guys because I do feel like, and I feel like it's good for you to hear this because I think it's also a good place for you to be able to look toward being a diamond because I have very different intentions with my reentry team than I did when I was building to diamond. So I'm going to be honest in saying that it looks very different now as I work my business than it did back then. So I'm going to answer it as back then. Because right now, I feel like when you hit the rank of diamond, I do not think anyone wants to look at a diamond and be like, she works so hard, I can't wait to be there. Like, like I want to enjoy this. And absolutely, I am still working my business, but I'm very, very picky about kind of the time and energy I put into it. And I have a much different balance in my life. Does that make sense? Do you guys get what I'm saying? Okay. So to answer the question, as I was working my diamond team, what were my like non-negotiables? You guys, I was religious about my 5-3-1. Like that was what I did. That's genuinely what I did every single day. And I was so hard on myself about staying consistent with it, especially social media posts. So social media posts, when I say that I'm like, I didn't do anything for my business, and I kind of felt those like lulls where I had to give myself the pep talk to get back into it. Social media posting was never one of my issues. I was extremely consistent about social media posts. Then it was the 5-3-1 that I really pushed myself to get back into. Whenever I kind of got out of it, I would force myself to get back into that. And for me, that looked like reaching out to 5 people every single day, 5 newbies, or, at some point it kind of flips to 5 follow-ups, and then either 3 follow-ups or 3 reach outs. So I feel like it was at the beginning, it was 5. I feel like I'm making this confusing. Okay, when I first got started, it was reaching out to 5 new people, following up with 3 people, and watching 1 video. That was my job because I was teaching full-time, and I would do that in the nooks and crannies. I say that, but after the kids went to bed, I switched my time investment to hanging out and watching a TV show with my husband to getting on the phone with people, because I was a huge advocate, and I still am, to really hear someone's story, you've got to pick up the phone. Voice messengers better than text, but you really want to hear them. You really want to let them ask questions and really get everything out of them. So my evenings were filled with calls. I got people on the phone like crazy. And then as my business grew, the 5-3-1 switched to 5 follow-ups, 3 new reach outs, but still that 1 learning opportunity every day. I listened to, back then we had calls. We didn't have Zoom calls yet, so we would just listen to calls, Melissa Darby's calls. But I was like crazy about YouTube videos. I would watch a YouTube video every day while I ate my lunch as a teacher. So it was kind of like before I got to school every morning, I would do a Facebook post. I would, do any follow-up I needed to. I would get into the classroom and I would teach. I would watch my video at lunch, and I would, do a couple reach outs, and I would write people's names down at the beginning of the day of who I was going to be reaching out to. And then after school, I would put my mom hat on. I was like taking care of the boys, doing dinner and all that. And Dan was working constantly. So after I got the boys to bed at about 7:30, 7:45, I would sit down, and that's when I would try to schedule an 8 o'clock and an 8:30 and a 9 o'clock call consistently almost every night. And that might sound overwhelming to you guys, but that is truly what I did. I was so focused on getting people's orders in. And I people joke that like when you got on the phone with me, you didn't get off until you had your order placed.
What did you say to get them on the phone?
So I always ask questions. So I reach out to somebody, or somebody reaches out to me and says, okay, what's this Plexus stuff? My first response to that is, what made you curious about it? So right there, that was the very first, like, okay, I need to hear from you why you're reaching out to me. What post was it? What piqued your interest? Then they would say, I saw you post something about, anxiety or, not being able to sleep at night, and I'm struggling with sleeping at night, whatever. Then I would say, hey, I want to hear more about kind of what you're going through and see if these products can help you. Can we talk either tonight or tomorrow at 8 p.m. after I get my kids to bed? That's literally how I do. Like, I don't go back and forth on Messenger. I want to get you on the phone. And people are so afraid of doing that. They're like, I haven't talked to that person since 7th grade. I'm like, I don't care. I don't even really know you, but like, I want to hear your story. And when you say it like that, a lot of times people do go radio silent. They're like, whoa, 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 get on the phone. But I think when you word it in a way that's like, I really want to help you. Can we chat real quick? It won't take long. I really just kind of want to hear what's going on with you, what's worked, what hasn't, what you've tried, what I believe is people like to talk about themselves. I really do. And if that's the reason you're getting them on the phone, because you want to hear what their problems are and see if you can help, they will get on the phone with you. And if they ignore that, in 6 months, if you're consistent with your posting, they're going to come back around and be like, okay, now I'm ready. So that's what I did. I mean, you guys, my evenings were filled with calls, and I loved it. And my secret weapon was the flow of the call was always the same. The first half of the call is me just constantly, I want to pull everything out of you. I want to hear everything you have to say. So tell me what made you curious about Plexus. Tell me what you're hoping for. Oh my gosh, tell me more about that. When did that start? Do you have any other health issues? Like, I'm just constantly pulling it all out, right? Then I'm going to have a picture of your situation. And I'm going to say, okay, so after hearing all of this, I really think the triplex could help. And this is why. And then I tell them a little bit specific to their needs why I think the triplex could help. And then so it's like, I listen to them, then I give my recommendation, and then these are my keywords that I always say. I call them my secret weapon. Hey, do you have your computer? Let's go ahead and get your order in. And then we talk about pricing. So it's after I've established they're already going to get their computer out, they're ready to go. Now we can talk about pricing. I don't talk about it until they're like ready to go. And again, I'm in the driver's seat. And the words I use for that are, okay, it just makes sense for you to go ahead and give these a try. I really want to make sure you're loving them before we can upgrade as an ambassador at some point where you can get a deeper discount. But unless you're really wanting to share these, I really think preferred customer is the way to go. So let's go ahead and pull up my website and get your order in, okay? But if I know they're a rock star, they just don't know it yet, and they're like, I don't want to do the business, but I'm like, oh yeah, you're going to do this business. I would say, okay, right now it just makes sense for you to get the deepest discount. Are you willing to give that full 90 days and really let these products work? If so, let's go ahead and I want you to click join. You don't have to sell it, but I think this is going to be the best move for you. That's it. You get their order in, and then they're in the system as either a customer or an ambassador. That was a lot of information. You muted?
I forgot to mute. Yes. No, that was so good. And I kind of forget, like, obviously I love getting on the phone too. Like, it's always got on the phone this afternoon to sign someone up. Always goes way smoother. The conversation goes better. I was telling the girls earlier, like, I wanted that double welcome pack for her because it's for her and her spouse, but the double triplex isn't available anymore.
I know. That's rough, but I get it. It's like there's two schools of thought on that.
Yeah, but I still got it because I just had them do the $199, and I'm going to swap out the Joyum and the Lean, and I bought the triplex, and I'm going to swap it out. So
you did get the $199?
I got her to do the $199. But I was saying, I mean, if I only because she wanted the double triplex. Like, I wasn't trying to add extra products to her that she didn't need. Do you know what I mean? I went at it like I thought it was still there. I didn't really know. I asked about it the other day, and we were all like, I don't think so. Yeah, but I mean, it worked out to be just fine, But that's what I was saying to them earlier. Like, I think when you get in this like contest mode and this $199 mode, like that's where my head's at because I have a goal. I want to earn that cash, like I want to earn it. So I want the $199 welcome pack. So in the conversation when you're on the phone, like I almost oversold what was available to her, right? Like she just wanted 2 triplex. So we just got to be really, when we're on the phone, it's a lot easier to talk to them about it. And you can be super honest. And it's like, hey, listen, if you get this welcome kit, this is what you get, this is what I get in back. So it's a win-win for both of us if we just swap that out, and you save money on the second triplex anyway, doing it this way, so it does work out. That
wouldn't have happened over Messenger.
No way. That would have been so confusing. That would have been like, wait, what are you doing? And so, yeah, just being on the phone just makes it so much easier.
Do not underestimate the power of being on the phone with someone.
That's right. All right, you guys. Well, we've kept Emily for an hour tonight. That went fast. Thank you.
I know, it went so
much.
fast.
We
Yeah,
love you. Thank you. And we will all talk soon.
All right. Thanks,
Good night,
guys.
everyone. Thank
Good
you.
night.